Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here for our first Facebook Live. I think we're right on the dot at 10 o'clock because the clock is going off. My name is Mary Wilson, and I am with the Alabama Farmers Federation. So just wanted to tell you how excited we are to show you a little bit about what farmers are doing on their farms right now. We're going to be talking about row crops today, particularly peanuts. And I just want to mention a couple of things to start off. First of all, you can ask questions in the comments section. So feel free to leave questions at any point. We'll get around to those after Jonathan has talked for a little while, so in about 10 or 15 minutes, we'll get around to answering those questions. Also in the comments section, we have pulled together some different activities that you can do as a family with your siblings, whoever you're social distancing with in your house. And those are going to be in the comments section. So make sure to check those out. Now, obviously, I am not out in the field. I am here at my house because we're observing social distancing as well. But I want to introduce you to the person that y'all came here to see, and that is Jonathan Sanders. He's a Coffee County farmer, and he is also chairman of the Alabama Farmers Federation's Young Farmers Committee. So everybody say hi to Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. And if you will now take it away, Jonathan, just first tell us a little bit more about where you farm and what you grow.
We're row crop farmers in northeast Coffee County, which is located in southeast Alabama. We're about an hour from Georgia, an hour from Florida, and we farm peanuts, cotton, corn, wheat, oats, and cattle, and some timberland as well. For sort of our specialty crop in our area, we really enjoy growing peanuts, and 90% of the nation's peanuts are grown within 100 miles of Dothan, so we're definitely in that category. This is a farm my grandfather homesteaded in the 50s, I believe, and we're just a good family farm, been here multiple generations. We're here.
All right. Oh,
go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, that's all right. So tell us a little bit about why you grow some of the things that you grow there in Southeast Alabama, and I'll put you back full screen there, Jonathan.
Okay. We started growing peanuts after the boll weevil came into this area, and we my family couldn't really grow cotton anymore, and peanuts were a great alternative. And now we continue to grow peanuts and cotton on a rotation, as well as corn and small grains. Primarily, the corn goes to chicken plants for chicken feed, and our small grains go to cattle feed primarily. Our peanuts go to a local sheller in Enterprise, which is also located in Coffee County. And then the majority of those peanuts go into stuff like candies. It can also go into peanut butter and also some peanut oil as well. Fresh peanuts are also a good market. Our cotton goes to local gins, and we use that to make fibers. We're next to a field right here. If you'll show the field. We're next to a field right now that's got some cover crop on it, and the cattle have been grazing it all winter, and we'll be spraying it down to plant peanuts here shortly. That's one of our main peanut fields, and we continue to plant cover crops on it for the winter, and it adds additional grazing for our cattle.
All right, Jonathan. So with the fact that you don't have the peanuts planted right now. Tell us a little bit about what all is going on your farm right now, because I think sometimes people think that things are kind of slow on the farm this time of year because there isn't a whole lot of stuff growing. But for you guys, that's not even the case. You've got some crops to talk about too.
That's right. We've been pretty busy this winter and coming into this early spring. We've already got a corn crop established. Our corn's between 6 and 12 inches tall. We've been spraying corn and spraying burn down, which kills all the weeds. And so we can go through and run a strip till and plant peanuts and cotton. Um, Here lately, we have been winding up putting out fertilizer, which is a lot of times chicken litter. It's a good staple for us. Um, we've been running irrigation and putting water out on our corn crop currently. Um, we've had a wet year, but we're only a few days away from a drought quite often around here in our soil type. So even though some parts of the state are considered very wet, we're still running irrigation right now.
All right, so Jonathan, tell us too about some of the things that are growing that are actually kind of close to harvest, because here in Alabama we can grow some things over the winter season.
Yes, so we've been growing wheat and oats over the winter season, and our oats and wheat both are coming into maturity. We'll be harvesting them in another month or two, and they look great. That's one of our little niches in our area where we can grow over the winter, and then hopefully come back and plant another crop right after that.
So what is that called? What is that called when you're able to actually get two crops from the same land in 1 year?
We're able to double crop in our area,
Which is
we also use some of that weed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. I was just going to say that's fantastic to get your land to produce two different things, but go ahead with what you were saying.
It is. It's great for the land to be able to grow multiple crops on it. It helps keep weeds down, and it helps with erosion purposes as well. We're able to establish two different crops, so we never leave the land bare for a very long time.
We have lots of people who are watching and saying hello to you. We got people from Tuscumbia and Prattville, Troy. We just want to say thanks to all of those people for watching. We actually have somebody from Washington State even who's watching. So maybe tell us a little bit about how what you grow is different than what you might find in other parts of the country.
Well, peanuts in general don't grow very well in very many states other than the southeast United States. You certainly have some outliers, but for the most part, we're the only location that can grow peanuts. So that's much different than, say, Washington State, for example. Um, in other parts of the world, they grow alternative type of nut, and they don't grow well for us in the southeast. So peanuts are a very sustainable crop for us.
All right, we do have one question already, Jonathan, and we actually have some good pictures. I think that hopefully I can take y'all through as Jonathan is talking you through these things. But what kind of equipment do you use? We'll start with for peanuts, and then if there's any other equipment that you use as well.
Yes, so we start out by spraying the cover crop. We'll spray it, kill it down, and then we'll come through with a strip till, and we'll run strip rows through the field. So we're only tilling a small area, of the ground. And then we'll come back through with a plant. We'll plant the peanuts in the bed that the strip till is made. We'll additionally come back with a sprayer and try to kill any weeds that have come up, and also put out fungicide to keep the plants healthy. Later on, we'll come in and we'll dig the peanuts, which we don't have a picture of that, but we run a digger inverter to dig the peanuts out of the ground, shake the dirt out of them, and invert them over. Peanuts are then on top of the ground. We come back a few days later and run a peanut combine, or a peanut picker commonly called, and we'll pick them off and put them into a basket and dump them onto semis, and they'll head to town.
All right, we've got the dump cart up on the screen right now so that people can see that the combine goes through first, and then you get the dump cart after that. So let's see what other questions we've gotten. We even have somebody from Virginia who's been on this morning. So someone here, they're wanting to know about what kind of food can be made from corn besides just corn on the cob. But tell us about the corn that you guys grow. Is it actually food for humans, or does it go to other purposes?
Well, that's a great question, and most of the corn we grow typically goes for either cattle or chicken feed, primarily chicken feed in our area. Now, you can definitely eat it, and I definitely eat my share of it, and we do it. The whole family eats it. But it's not near as sweet as the corn that most people are used to eating. And for that, people normally are used to eating sweet corn, which is a different type. But we definitely eat our share of it around here.
All right. Oh, there we go. Another question has come from Ashley Brown and Catherine Brown. They want to know, why is it that peanuts grow so well in Alabama, but not necessarily other states like up into Washington State? Of course, Georgia and some other southern states are pretty big producers as well. But there's another question for you.
That's right. So it's primarily our climate as well as our soil types. So we have a very sandy soil, and part of harvesting peanuts is being able to dig them. And so if you have a sandy soil, it's much easier to dig them and get the dirt off of them than it would be for a very sticky soil. And then our climate contributes as well. Peanuts like to be very hot and sunshine, and have lots of sunshine. So Washington State might not be the best climate for that.
All right. So along those lines, the next question is, how long does it take from the time that you plant a peanut to the time that you're harvesting and getting those diggers out in the field and the dump carts and all that?
Well, it can vary depending on the variety, but it's primarily around 140 days. That's from the time we plant until the time we are out there harvesting.
All right. One other question that we've had come in. You mentioned something about a fertilizer that you use that's pretty prevalent here in the state of Alabama, chicken litter. So tell us about the how that's beneficial as an organic fertilizer for your fields.
So we have, as I said earlier, we have very sandy soils, and chicken litter helps to add organic matter as well as some primary nutrients to our soils. It's got nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, but it also has micronutrients which help us to raise better crops and help us to sustain our land more efficiently. Very often it can be better, higher quality than some of our commercial fertilizers, and it helps to stay around in the soil longer. It's also a very good byproduct for us. So we have lots of farms nearby that raise chickens, and they need something to do with all that litter. So we're able to spread it on our field, and it's just sort of a circle of life around here. It will raise corn, and the corn goes into chicken feed, and then we raise peanuts, and the peanut hulls are a lot of times used for chicken house bedding, for the flooring in the chicken house. and then we'll take that litter once the chickens are done with it, and we'll spread it back on the field. So everything in nature is used. Nothing's wasted.
Shows just how efficient we can be as farmers. And even if you're doing different crops or livestock or poultry, you can still help each other. I think that's pretty cool. All right. So from Vicky Rondina, she's wondering about peanuts and how they grow. Are they under the ground or a plant or both?
Well, that's correct. They are both. They are underground. The peanuts themselves grow underground, but the plant is on top of the ground. So we plant the peanuts and they come up, and then they'll flower. But flowers only last a short amount of time. But for each flower, there's a peanut growing underground. So, if you've ever seen a small yellow flower out in the field, just know that there's a peanut that's beginning to grow down below it. A lot of people will miss that because the flowers only live for a few hours or a day at most. So, but for each flower on top of a peanut plant, there's a peanut growing underground.
All right. So another question is, since there are vines that grow on top, Sarah Bruff is wondering, what do you do with the peanut vines after harvest?
Well, that's a great question. We actually leave them on top of the ground. It helps to put more organic matter and leave the nitrogen in the soil. But you can also additionally rake it up and bale it into hay bales for cattle feed, or make mulch or haylage out of it. So there's many uses for it. We typically use it to just put nutrients back into the soil. So we scatter it across the field, and then we'll disc it in when we go to plant our cover crop in that field.
All right. And we have a question from Tristan. So we've had a lot of people join us through the broadcast. So he's wondering how many crops you grow each year and how many different kinds. So I know we've covered that a little bit already, but if you'll just cover it again for our friend Tristan.
So for the most part, we grow peanuts, cotton, and corn. And then in the winter months, we grow wheat and oats. And then we have cattle and timberland. And we definitely grow a small garden for us as well. But that's just for personal use primarily.
All right, let's see. We're getting all kinds of really good questions here. Another one from Jaslyn is to maybe talk about your cattle, because she's wondering what kinds of animals you have and how many.
So my dad primarily has the cattle on the operation, and I tend to help him with working the livestock. But he has a variety of cattle, no certain breed. But we typically have about 40 to 50 mama cows, and it's just a simple cow-calf operation. And it works in good with our row crop operation. We're able to grow a cover crop, and then they're able to graze it over the winter time. And it's just a great addition to our operation.
All right. This one is I think this one is a pretty good question, actually, and it's maybe not related exactly to the farm, but Reagan and Reed are wondering what the building is that's behind you.
This was an old tenant house, actually, so we have fixed it up for a cabin on our property, but several people have lived back here through the years, including people that have worked on the farm and several family members as well. Not sure how old it is, but it's a very old building. It's been around quite a while. So.
All right. Still have a few other questions that have come in. Since we mentioned that peanuts grow underground, Stephanie Bell's 4-year-old is watching, and they're wanting to know how corn grows. Is it on top of the ground, or how does that look?
Yep, it's on top of the ground. So we plant our corn in rows. Most people do. And it comes up and grows similar. It is a type of grass, actually. So corn grows very tall. Anywhere from some of the sweet corn varieties can only be 4 feet tall, up to 6 or 8 feet tall, and then the ears grow on the side of the stalk.
All right, here's a good one too. On your farm, do you make any special kind of peanuts? Like, do you ever boil the peanuts or roast the peanuts straight from your own farm?
Yeah, we don't sell those. We keep them all for ourselves. But we like to parch peanut, boil them as well, and we keep our own peanuts a lot of times over the winter, and for our own seed, and so we're able to go get a snack all along and parch a few over the winter time.
All right, so the Dewberries are wondering, Sela and Eden are wondering, how many acres of land do you grow peanuts on? And then when you harvest, so what you get from a harvest is considered a yield. So what kind of yield do you get from your acres of peanuts?
Well, it varies from year to year. We grow crops on around 1,000 acres between my dad and I. We're sort of a small farm, a small family farm here. Typically, we have anywhere from 300 to 400 acres of peanuts between the both of us, and depending on if it's a good year or a bad year, you can make anywhere from 3,000 pounds of peanuts to 7,000 pounds of peanuts, and we hope to lie somewhere in the middle on the higher side.
All right. Here's a kind of a wildlife question for you, I suppose. Do you ever have issues with deer trying to eat the peanuts kind of the way that deer like to eat corn?
Yes. So deer will go through and eat the vines a lot. When they're older, they don't tend to scratch up the peanuts since they're growing up underground. Deer will go through and destroy a corn crop, but they're not so bad about scratching up the peanuts. They will occasionally, but our hog issue, hogs will go through and just root straight down the row and eat every peanut that's out there. So we do have an issue with hogs more than deer.
All right. And another question that we have from 6-year-old Levi and 4-year-old Olivia. You mentioned a little something about this, but the peanut shells after you harvest, what happens to those?
So they primarily go to chicken houses for bedding for the chickens. In these poultry houses, they don't want them to walk on top of just the dirt, so they'll put the peanut hulls down to help absorb some of that is left over from the chicken, and then we take all of that and spread it back in the fields.
All right. I think we have time for just a couple more questions here real quick. Addie, who is 8 years old, wants to know how old your farm is. And we've also had some people ask how long you've been farming. So.
Well, I've been back on the farm since 2014. That's when I finished up at Auburn, moved back to the farm, and started row cropping with my dad. And then finally found my beautiful wife, Sarah, and we now have one child together. We live in my grandparents' place, which is on the farm here, and he built that house in the 50s. And but this is a family land that has been farmed since I know before 1876. People often ask, how many generation farmer are you? Well, we can for sure say 5th generation, but really it's just every generation that we have found in our history has been tied to agriculture in some way.
That goes back a long way, all the way back. So, all right, I think this is going to be our last question, but y'all hang around because we've got more information about the other virtual field trips that we're going to be doing. So, Dreama Bishop is wondering what the different stages are that a peanut goes through.
Well, we go through and plant the peanut. It begins to grow. and then it will flower at some point and put on the peanut underground. And then it has to go through maturity. So over the course of 140 days, it does all that. And then we pull up a few and check maturity from time to time to see how far along we are in our process. And when they get just the right color and feel to them, we then go and dig them and harvest them.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so very much for being here with us and for talking about your farm and letting people know how you grow peanuts and all of the other things that you grow too, from corn and wheat to oats. So we appreciate it. Everybody say bye to Jonathan.
Thank you, Mary.
We'll see you around. And now, if you've enjoyed this, please check the comments because there are lots of activities there. And we want to see what you guys have done with the activities as well. The very first comment is going to be from the Alabama Farmers Federation. And we've got things like a coloring book page that you can print out and color. So if you do that, take a picture of your finished product and share it on Facebook. And just make sure that you tag us. We're Alabama Farmers Federation. Or you can tag us. You can tag us on Instagram as @AlphaFarmers, and so many other great things on there. There's a printable ag mag that has lots of fun information about peanuts and a crossword puzzle that you can do. I think one of my favorite things that we've linked to, though, is a drawing and relay race activity. So if your family does that, I want to see video of you guys doing the relay race. It's one of the last ones that you'll see in that comment section that has like 10 different links. We also have some recipes for you because if you like peanuts, there's nothing better than, like ants on a log and some no-bake cookies that you can make as a family. There's 2 really easy recipes on there. So make sure to check all of that stuff out. Share your pictures with us on Facebook and Instagram, because if you do, we might feature you in next week's virtual field trip, which that one, we are going to go visit Barber County, Alabama, to see farming sisters Allie Logan and Cassie Young. They are carrying on their family tradition of farming, but they've also started their own thing on the farm with backyard orchards, which is an agritourism attraction. So get to doing those activities, share your pictures with us, and come back here at 10 next Friday to learn about the fruits and vegetables that are grown here in the state of Alabama. Thanks so much, y'all. We'll see you next week.